at the first marriage. If I can get my phone here to work right. I don't want to work today. So 2 and yeah, I guess you're right. Chapter 2 and 18. Alright. Chapter 2 and 18. You got it? Everybody got it? Alright. Let's see where Genesis 2 and 18. It says, and Yahuwah the Mighty One said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help me for him. And we'll skip down to verse 21. And Yahuwah the Mighty One caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Alright, so we see in Genesis 2 through 25, you might well say, that the first marriage, the first union, that's what a marriage is. It's a union, covenant between a man and a woman. It's when a man makes a covenant with a woman. What a covenant is when something has to be cut. Flesh, usually they make covenants with animals where the flesh has to be cut, and the two will, walk between the flesh, and and the blood seals the deal. So that's how a covenant is made, or a marriage, same thing, is made between a man and a woman. The flesh has to be, something has to be cut. You see, the first marriage is here with Adam and Eve. Now we're going to go to verse 3. And we talked about this, I don't know if y'all remember. Y'all remember that? It's been a long time. Anybody else remember? Long time.
Somebody, the whole marriage thing?
Yeah, how it works. We'll get into it now. And it says, now, this is after they were married, after both of them were, Eve was formed and brought to Adam, and she was his wife, because she was bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. Now, like I said, something has to be cut, to make the marriage, to make it an official union.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah the Mighty One had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath the Mighty One said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Mighty One has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die, for the Mighty One doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as mighty ones, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave it to her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahuwah the Mighty One walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah the Mighty One amongst the trees of the garden. Now, what's going on? What happened? Because we're in Genesis 3 now. 1. Anybody?
Eve has now been, well, she's been deceived by the serpent.
Uh-huh.
And now that I can say I guess their eyes, like you said, their eyes was open, but it wasn't like their literal eyes. It was, the knowledge was now open to that they had sinned or done something wrong.
All right. Well, what's happening is, anybody else? So what's happening is, you notice that the roads, see right here in verse 6, it says, and when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Yeah.
So now we see
The roles being reversed.
the roles being reversed. You see now that instead of, remember we talked about it, instead of the way the marriage works is if I'm facing this away and you're facing that away, or we're union, we're together. If we're both facing this away, then there's something wrong. We can't see. You see, you got my back, I got your back.
Mm-hmm.
We both can see each other's back.
Mm-hmm.
We got each other's back. But here, when the roles are, Eve is switching roles. She's taking the lead role, and Adam is taking the some more submissive role. He's following Eve instead of Eve following Adam, because the commandment was given to Adam, and Adam would have given it to Eve. In the beginning, though, the thing you realize about marriage is that they were both. It wasn't. We'll get to it, but it wasn't until later that it became a desire for a woman to want to desire for her husband to rule over. You come on in. It was later when this desire, when this desire of you see the punishment. He says that now you shall desire for your husband. But before that, though, it was more of a union, a oneness. You know what I'm saying? Like the father and the son.
Yeah.
That is the way of marriage. And not just a Hebraic marriage, but any marriage. You have to be one with the person who you're married to. We talking about Hebraic marriage, They want to get into the study of it. But you have to be one, because if you're not one, what I mean by one, and there'll be a lot of talk in scriptures too, but what I mean by one is if you're not learning or adapting to the person who you're with, then you pretty much wasting both of y'all time. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm not trying to adapt, then this is not going to work. If I'm not trying to, you have to listen, you have to communicate, you have to do all these things. When you're in a union, I say union, I'm using the word union for a reason, but when you're in a union, because of your marriage, marriage doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
But union or covenant, it puts more emphasis, more power
exactly
on
what it is.
Yeah, what it is. It's a union between. That's why it says, we'll get to that. But let's go to where it gets interesting. We're going to go to Exodus 24. Exodus the 24th chapter. And it's a perfect symbol of marriage. Here you got the children of Israel in Exodus 24. And it says, and he said unto Moshe, come up unto Yahuwah thou, and Aaron, and Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Yasharah, and worship ye afar off. And Moshe alone shall come near to Yahuwah, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahuwah, and all the judgments. And all the people answered in one voice and said, all the words which Yahuwah have said will we do. And Moshe wrote all the words of Yahuwah, and rose up early in the morning, and built an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Yasharal. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrifice and peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuwah. And Moshe took half of the blood and put it in a basin, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that Yahuwah have said will we do, and be obedient. And Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah have made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moshe and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu, 7 of the elders of Yasharal, and they saw the mighty one of Yasharal, and there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Yasharal he laid not his hand. Also they saw the mighty one, and did eat and drink. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, come up to meet into the mountain, to meet me into the mountain, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stones, and a law, or a Torah, and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moshe rose up, and his minister Joshua, or Yahusha, and Moshe went up into the mount of the mighty one. So, now, what's going on at the mount? Like I said, we went over the lesson. You kind of remember?
I remember it now. I'm getting into it. I remember it now.
Yeah. You been starting to remember?
Yeah.
Keith. So what's going on at the mount?
Initiated a response.
Huh?
Somebody initiated something that somebody responded to. As the Most High delivering the commandments to the children of Israel.
But how does this reflect to a marriage covenant?
Yeah, they did a vow.
Yeah. The blood, like the blood being sprinkled on them, is sealed the deal.
It's the covenant.
Yeah.
In Genesis, there was a covenant that was made between Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
You know, Adam was cut.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Some flesh has to be cut. You can see that in a marriage. Adam was cut. A rib was brought forth. And then, you know, that's about the role playing. But here we see a covenant being made in chapter 24. See, for as a Hebraic marriage. So what is he doing at the mount? I'm talking about Yahuwah. What is he doing?
He marrying them.
He's basically committing himself to the children of Israel.
Yeah, exactly. He's coming into a union with them. That's why we've been using the word union, because that's what he's doing. He's entering into a union, a covenant, same thing. A covenant or a union or a marriage, same word, with them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, huh? Oh, I thought you said something. This is why Yahuwah has to come down and speak with them. Because, you know, you can't get married and not be there.
Yeah.
You can't enter into a covenant and not be there. This is why he has to come down to meet with them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So he comes down, and notice what it said. Notice what it says. It says, and then he gives Moshe, tells Moshe that afterwards, after the sprinkling of the blood, after the, this is the blood of the covenant, all the words that, he told Moshe to tell them, and Moshe is being the what?
He's like the, what is
You said Moshe like what?
the
I'm
intercessor.
asking you, what is he
He's
being
like the
right now in his
intercessor.
marriage?
He's the witness. He's the witness.
He's the witness.
Yeah.
Moshe is the witness. You see Yahuwah, you guys, you follow?
I'm trying to understand.
It's like a Hebrew. Okay, we're witnessing as a Hebraic marriage, or a marriage, or a union, or a covenant between Yahuwah and Yasharal at the mount. You know, this is the time where Yahuwah comes down to meet with them. If we go back a couple chapters, he told them to sanctify themselves, set themselves apart, and on the third day he would come and meet with them. That third day, you know, that's another subject. He would come down and meet with them.
So when he say set, when he would like set them apart, that means like they were basically like he was engaging with, like they was being engaged, because you know in engagement you setting yourself apart unto somebody, like you basically already married to them, and you in a betrothed state.
You could say that, but he was more telling them to set themselves apart because he didn't want them to be unclean when they came. Yeah, you can say that, you know, so they can be clean.
Clean, yeah.
You know, just like a wedding. You don't go to your own wedding filthy or dirty. You know what I'm saying? You clean yourself up and do yourself up. So he's telling them to set themselves apart. Now notice what happens when. See, this is how a man should do when he's getting ready to marry a woman. He should do. What's the steps? We're gonna get it. You know, we get to Leviticus, but. All of it is right here though. What's the steps in what a man should do? He should as you looking at, okay, let's look at what Yahuwah did for the children of Yasharah.
He brought them out from somewhere. He basically came and got them.
He found like he says, it's a man that finds a wife finds a good thing.
Yeah.
So he does what? He comes and like he didn't know what it was at, but he comes and he gets his bride.
Yeah.
You put all the gold and
that's
stuff
what
on
I'm
her.
looking for. Yeah. And what he does, he adorns them with golds and silver and array that they spoiled the Egyptians with.
Mm-hmm.
So a man should adorn his betrothed woman with the things she needs. I ain't gonna say with gold and silver, but the things she needs, you know, to enter into a marriage. They needed that to enter into this marriage with Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm.
They needed that. They needed that for the sacrifice. As you see, he told the young men to sacrifice and which burnt offerings and sacrifice peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuwah. So they needed this stuff. He wasn't just telling them to take this stuff so they could, you know, be looking good and just have it. They needed it to do sacrifices and to present themselves to Yahuwah and to build certain things, you know, later on. But so they needed it. You follow me? So Yahuwah is showing us in verse 24 what anybody ought to be doing when they prepare for marriage. You see what I'm saying? So now we see that he goes and finds his wife, a bride, and he adorns her, and the marriage ceremony is set up. Bush and them being the witness between, you know, of this marriage ceremony. A covenant is made. We would say over here in the Western, vows are exchanged. That's when he says, I'm giving you the word. Hey, these are the vows that are being exchanged, you know, and you tell a person that your vows or whatever, and they accept it or they don't. You know what I'm saying? So he's giving them the vows. This is the commandments or the teachings, the Torah, his commandments of what you have to do to be my wife or my Isha. Alright, so that's what's going on the mount here. So he has to come down to meet them. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the
symbolic.
Yeah, the symbolic of a man taking a Hebrew woman, and he should find him a wife, not the other way around, not a woman finding a man, but you know, the man should find him a wife, and he should endow her with gifts, reasonable gifts, not, you know what I'm saying, not crazy stuff, but reasonable gifts. He should, in which in Exodus it tells you he should endow the father. Of the bride. You know, he's supposed to get a father what?
He's supposed to get him.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Pay him a bride price.
What he charged or what?
Yeah,
Like,
it
what
was
you call
actually-
it? It's called what?
Bride price.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah, like what he's charged. He's supposed to give the father, pay the dowry is what the scriptures call it. The dowry or the bride price for the damsel.
Yeah.
And then, and we go. We I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we see now that Yahuwah is following the same steps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's not giving us a bunch of stuff to do that he didn't do. I'm trying to show how he done it himself. You know, so when we start reading Leviticus, we're going to see where he done all this first himself before he even gave them the commandments of what you should do concerning a daughter, a virgin or whatever, or a bride to be or whatever. So he endows them with gifts, he gives them commandments, and then Moses, being a witness, he seals the covenant by sprinkling the blood on the people and then the blood on the covenant of the book of the Torah, the instructions. You know, because God is not finna be intimate with Israel, you know what I'm saying? But in a man and woman's case, when they become intimate, the covenant, is the blood of the virgin or whatever. I'm trying not to get too drastic, but the blood of the virgin is the same thing. You see what I'm saying? Now you see why he tells Israel to set themselves apart for this ceremony, because the virgin is supposed to set apart. You follow, man?
He told the men not to even have sex with their wives.
Not to even come near your wives, because he wanted them completely clean, just like a virgin. A virgin is supposed to be pure and clean. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean because you ain't a virgin, you can't get married. I'm just saying that's what this is representing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about all, but we see all the characteristics of a marriage, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what is he going to do after this? What after they establish the covenant and after the blood is sprinkled? Same thing with a union. When a man goes into a woman, there's blood that seals the covenant of a marriage. And now Moses rose up and ministered. Okay, now I want you to see something. I'm trying to find. I'm sorry. Where it says they sat down and ate. Verse 11. It says, upon the nobles of the children of Yasharah he laid not his hands. Also they saw the mighty one and did eat and drink. So after the marriage, what we call a reception or whatever you want to call it, they sat down, the witnesses, to eat and drink. A lot of people don't see that, but that's what this was going on this mountain. All this is going on the mountain, because it's a marriage covenant. So what's a man to do once he meets a woman? Dower is to be given to the father.
He's supposed to bring gifts to her
and the father. That's exactly right. And he's supposed to. What's the next step Yahuwah is about to do?
Or go and get basically be intimate.
Well, kind of with the blood sprinkling.
No, make the vow. Make the vow.
Yeah, he's done that. So now what's next? What's after the vows? He's supposed to have her place.
Oh yeah, prepare.
Exactly. What does Yahuwah tell him? I'm gonna take you to a land flowing with milk and honey. Yeah. So also a man's supposed to prepare a place for his bride to be, or his betrothed woman.
Yeah.
Wife, they say betrothed wife is the same thing. He's supposed to have a place prepared for her. This is just the order in which Yahuwah, you'll see in Leviticus when we get there, and I'm just jumping ahead a little bit, but because I want to show everything, I want to show first Yahuwah and his marriage, and then we'll get into the natural part of the marriage, you know what I'm saying? But we got to see that Yahuwah is the perfect example of what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, because people say, well, I ain't got this together, or I ain't got that, and I want to go and get married, but that's not the way it was set up to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was set up that, I mean, hey.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. It was set up to do the way you wanted to do it. It was set up a certain way to do. How that you should find your wife first. You should bring the gifts, the endowment for the father. Talk with the father. Tell the father what you want to do with his daughter. You should bring the gifts to his daughter or your betrothed one. You should, and like I said, we see you who are doing all this. You should have a place set up for her. You should not be getting a place set up. You should have a place set up. Because we see Yahuwah wasn't preparing a place. He already had it ready. You see what I'm saying? Going through Exodus, I mean, we going for the sake of time, we're not going to read all that, but we see he had a place ready. He says, I'm going to take you to a land flowing with milk and honey. You see what I'm saying? So, you should have a place. Should have a place. Should have a place ready. You know what I'm saying?
This dude right here.
You should have a place ready for your wife. Oh, you're mature. Well, you know what I'm saying? There must be a place flowing with milk and honey. You know what I'm saying? Flowing. Not, barely got some milk in the refrigerator. It should be flowing with milk and honey. You know what I'm saying? So, this is the requirements of the man, not the woman.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It is not the woman's job to prepare a place. It is the man's job to prepare a place. Maybe she wants to help. I guess that's okay. I don't see no scriptures against it, but it is not her sole responsibility to do so.
Yeah.
It is the responsibility of the man. Following Yahuwah himself gives us the perfect example of how a marriage is supposed to be. Do all step by step by step. And, so...
like, and then too, like the diary, like was supposed to show that you was able to take care of that person, because they wouldn't even let you marry them if you don't have nothing to show for it.
Exactly, the father wouldn't
give his daughter.
He wouldn't give his daughter because that was the Hebrew custom. I mean, the man had to have this stuff together. He couldn't come up the slack. He had to have a place prepared. He had to have, and if he didn't have a place, he had to be at least working on having a place prepared, for his betrothed one or his wife or whatsoever, Now, who should this man marry? Should he marry within the race? Should he marry the same color? Should he marry
within a tribe? Well, that's how they supposed to have married. That's how he set it up for them to marry.
Within a tribe?
Yeah, they was only to marry within a tribe.
All right.
Well, that was after. That was like doing Leviticus and all that.
Oh yeah, man, I'm with you on that. I'm saying, anybody else? Anybody else?
No.
Tell us. Got something for us? Look.
Ruth was a Moabite, man.
Exactly. He's a Moabite.
You would marry someone that you don't want to accord with, in the truth, I would think.
You got to be equally yoked.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be.
unity, yeah. I'm asking, is that equally yoked? Does it consist of what color, race, or
I don't think.
creed?
You gotta marry within your race.
Y'all
Huh?
You gotta marry within your race.
Alright, so do you have? Because this is what people are saying, that you need to marry within your race, and I'm asking, do you have to do that?
No.
Not now, but I think you at one point it was. I mean,
But I mean, let's look at well, we can save time. But in Exodus, when they came out, what came out with them?
A mixed multitude.
It was a mixed multitude, so we can't. I mean,
They were mixed like mixed corn.
But they had Israel and the mixed multitude. Like, the mixed multitude wasn't considered Israel. I read that earlier. That don't know how I can
well,
say that.
let's get it. Because I mean, we just want to see from scripture. Now I just wanted to show first Yahuwah. Now we'll get into the
I'm
scripture.
just wondering because at one point, I don't think they was even really talking to no one else outside their race at one point, was it? I mean, I could be wrong, but
I mean,
in Acts, I mean, you know, I don't know whether Shaul or Peter was saying that at one point they wasn't even really associating with people that wasn't Yasharal.
Yeah, they would.
No, they had no dealings with outsiders, but it was a certain stipulation that made you an outsider. You know what I'm saying? Like an outsider would come into Israel, and if they followed the rules and the guidelines, then they'd be considered as Israel now. You know.
I only seen in scripture like 7 nations that was listed that they really just like it's like you just wasn't supposed to mess with them at all. It was 7 nations.
Yeah, they had nations like the I think the
Canaanites and
all the nations
Amorites,
that they were to put out of there because of their wickedness. The Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, you know.
Hittites and all them.
Yeah, all the Vites and Hittites. They were supposed to mess with none of these people because of their wickedness.
Right.
The reason why Yahuwah was thrusting them out of the land. So he said, look, don't marry with them, don't mingle with them, just completely, utterly destroy them and get them out of the land. Because of their wickedness. But now, does this consider, or does this count for any other stranger that wanted to come that was willing to do Yahuwah's will?
No, he said love them like you would love yourself.
Well, I got it right now. It's Numbers 11 and 4.
Numbers? All right.
Lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? Which he clearly made a distinction.
Alright, so he makes a distinction with them, but this is what I'm saying. When a person comes into Israel, there are certain stipulations, they have the rules, guidelines they have to follow
Yeah.
before they can be considered as Israel.
Yeah,
Able to marry.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, once you know, one accord in the word, then you are considered, Yasharal.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Once you, it's because we can go back to Exodus where it says that this is one law for the stranger and one law for the homeborn. You know what I'm saying? So if a stranger wants to do certain things, he or she has to follow these guidelines to, you know.
Yeah, like Yahuwah was saying, you know, that you shouldn't intermarry because they'll try to draw you away and make you
Follow
their might.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of, not marrying them, not because they was a different race.
Yeah, it was about the following the mighty ones. You know, it would take you away from
keeping it pure.
keeping what?
Keeping it pure.
Keeping it pure. I mean, they would cause you to serve other
Mighty
mighty ones.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. So we agree that it is lawful to marry outside of your nation, race, or creed. I mean, whatever.
With certain conditions, of course.
Huh?
I guess with certain conditions.
Well, I
What do you
mean,
mean? What do you
it is, but it ain't because in Deuteronomy, like he said, like when you take, like if you take somebody captive and you desire one of their wives, not one of their wives, but he said a woman that desires her and they wife. I mean, you want them to become your wife, then like you said, it's certain stuff they had to do. They had to shave their head, dress their nails.
Somebody in the mourning process.
Yeah.
But they had to mourn.
Oh,
Their
yeah,
husband that got killed.
Yeah.
And then he shaved their head. And then
Yeah.
when they had grew back, and the mourning was over, then the man was able to
marry.
to marry.
Mm.
You know, so it's that said through the scriptures we see that it is you can marry because these women were captive slaves from whatever
Another nation.
they conquered or whatever. So you can marry outside of your race. We just want to establish that.
So that mean he can marry an unbeliever.
Huh?
That mean he can marry an unbeliever.
Nah, you can't marry an unbeliever. I'm saying,
Well, I'm saying that they was not a believer then.
huh?
Was they considered a believer?
I mean,
I'm just saying.
I don't know what I'm saying. Women. I don't know. That's a good question. I have to find that out. But I don't think you can. Shaul even makes that clear.
Yeah, I know he said
Don't be unequally yoked. And then the Leviticus thing about marriage, it. So I don't know if these women were, believers or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Man, they were slaves. They probably were willing.
yeah, I mean, if they were, I don't know. I can't tell you that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that'd be something to look into, though.
Yeah, I'll look into it though. I didn't even think about that, but I'll look into it. So we understand that you can marry outside of your race. Now, all right, let's go to Exodus 22:16. Betrothed meaning engaged. If she's not engaged, if she doesn't belong to anybody, and he lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. And if her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. I shall not suffer. Well, that's not it. But now, if a man take a woman and I guess you would call that fornication or whore, one of them, you lie carnally, that's the way they put it, with a woman, and he didn't go and do, as we're going to get to Leviticus, where it says what you should do for the woman. Exodus, I think, 62. If he doesn't do this stuff, then what does it tell him to do? It says he still has to
Pay
he still has to pay a dowry of virgins. Even if he just takes her and starts sleeping with her, and he can't get around not talking to the father. You still have to go, even if you were to do that, even in Israel, even in the old time, you were to do that, you still had to go to the father. So, it's letting us know that we should,
Go to the farm.
I was finna say, talk with the dad, but then what the case if the girl don't have that? She don't have a...
I guess you talked to a near kinsman.
Yeah.
I was finna say that. Because that's what just popped up in my head. I'm like, well, what if she don't have a father?
Yeah.
Talk to a redeemer.
The uncle, or the brother, or...
Yeah.
But what if he lied with it and the father refused to let him marry?
It says that...
You still gotta pay. You still gotta pay.
It says, if her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins.
So what if he don't pay?
No, it's not him that's not wanting to pay. It's the father refusing.
So what I'm saying, he refused to marry he refused to pay. So but he can still have it done.
No.
Not the father got to pay.
Yeah, it's not the father.
No. What I'm saying is, that guy, he goes and lays with the woman, and and they marry each other. But the father refused. He was like, you can't have my daughter. But he laid with her, and the intention to marry.
Yeah.
And he don't want to. And then he was like, well, I give you the money. He said, no, I don't want the money. I don't want you to marry my daughter. So do he walk away from the relationship, or do he?
I think he have to, cause
Yeah.
he did it out of order anyway.
Yeah.
Like he supposed to came to the father first, but he just had sex with her just to be having sex with her.
But he didn't do it to. What if he didn't do it to just do it with her, but he just did it? He wanted to marry her. He really did.
Then he supposed to went to the father first anyway.
Yeah, still out of order.
Yeah, it's still out of order.
Yeah, so the father doesn't, if he refuses, I guess he can't I mean, that dowry has to be paid. If the father refuses it, it says he shall pay the dowry of the virgins. I guess if the father would have refused it,
You still got to pay that money though.
yeah, that's what I was going to get. That's what I'm getting to. That dowry has to be paid, but I don't know if he would still be able to marry the damsel unless they just ran off together or something. You know? But that wasn't a common thing in Israel at that time. It was more of a dog respected their father, not like what we got going on now.
Yeah.
They'll take off now. You don't hear from them, bro. They just come back married and everything. You was tripping, and I had to do it. You gotta get over it. You know what I'm saying? But in Israel, that wasn't so. That's how it is now. I mean, now in the Western,
Like, what you gonna do, bro? They done.
exactly. I mean, they'll take off. Go get married and forget what the father said. It don't matter. I don't care what he said. You know, I don't need his blessing, but that's not scripture. If you follow the scripture, that's not scripture. And I'm trying to show, well, in scripture, even if, you know, you took them and lay with them, whatever, you know, I don't know if it was casual or consenting or whatever, but if you went to the father and he refused, then you still had to pay a dowry of virgins because, you know, you took her virginity. And I don't even think that most men in that time wouldn't even marry women that happened to. It's like when his son raped his sister.
Yeah.
You know,
They were heated about that.
yeah, they told her to go into like hiding us and just don't show herself no more because of her dishonor that he had put on her. You see what I'm saying? So